So then, And particularly in the regions within the city and the suburbs around Toronto, the sister cities like Brampton, we're going to hear more about Brampton in a second, Mississauga, in Innisfil, like all sorts of places where entrepreneurs are really taking root. So we have founders and alumni from all over. The founders, they look like this. I'll tell you, first of all, incredibly diverse. The percentage of our alumni who are immigrants to Canada is very high. It's over 85%. A high percentage of minorities, of diverse people, of female founders, LGBTQ founders. It speaks to the diversity of really what is the most diverse city in the entire world, in the GTA, easily the most diverse city on the planet. These are some of our top companies. It's not an exclusive list, but we've been monitoring companies as they've reported data to us, and we see their news releases and kind of catch their social media. And so these are some companies over the years that we've graduated. We're shareholders in all of them, and we're continuing to see them thrive. I didn't really introduce myself, but I have a day job, which is Techstars. It's an accelerator venture capital fund. So I'm the partner for Techstars here in Canada. Founder Institute has been a pretty good source of investment deal flow. So it's not a proprietary to me or to any one person or any one fund, but we've made 7 investments recently into companies that are alumni from Founder Institute. And again, startups are incredibly hard, so we see some great traction, great results, and then sometimes things hit a bump in the road, and we continue to lend support and hope these companies can either turn it around or, if necessary, they go on to something new. You switching these over, okay. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold too, so I'm a little bit not sounding my best. This is what we call our pipeline and how the Founder Institute kind of looks in a continuum. So we have the core program, which you can see there, Founder Institute, and then there are some structured post programs. So Founder Lab, which can happen for certain companies after they graduate, usually ones that are showing fast traction. They'll get an offer to join Founder Lab if most of them accept. It's a Silicon Valley-based support program that they will continue to get help with. And then we have concierge alumni support for companies. Like you saw all those logos, we're in touch with pretty much all of them on an as-needed basis. Usually we like to hear from alumni. Sometimes we reach out. Other times they've just kind of got what they needed and they're on their way, they figured it out, and we just wish them well. And then VC Lab is a program which actually trains venture capital investors. Much as we train founders, we also train VCs. We have lots of partners. This list is constantly being refreshed. I'm happy to say again that Brampton is here. They've been a really nice partner. We're always looking for more partners. And this is really what we're here for. We have a new batch that's graduating tonight. So this is from our 23rd cohort. There'll be more on them later, some pitches to come. I'll just say that these founders, many of whom I'm meeting, pretty much all of them for the first time tonight in person, they've done something really remarkable. This is not a participation program. It's not one that you just kind of attend some sessions or endure some time and then graduate. 4 times more people than you see on this slide started the last batch of F5, okay? So 4 times more people started but didn't make it. These are the founders who actually completed the program, and that's because there's a significant amount of work, validation, and a lot of entrepreneurs are going to opt out once they realize that this company is not as viable as they first thought. And that's actually one of the best outcomes of Founder Institute. As much as it's great to graduate companies, I personally think it's great to stop companies before they get too far, because this is your life that we are talking about. And it's very easy in this country in particular to, I say, to die on the vine. Okay, so these companies can get a lot of soft support, signals from ecosystems and sometimes government and some soft money, and it doesn't necessarily mean your company is going to stand the test of time and be a viable company. And the opportunity cost for you can be very significant, because this is your life and your finances, your physical health, mental health, your relationships, your dreams. So this is a tough program. It takes you to the point where you have to be incorporated if you weren't already, so you have a legal entity now. You went through 13 weeks of very serious work. You validated, you tested against all your assumptions, against your competitors, and now you're ready. This is basically step 1. That's how I would say. Now these folks are ready to start. We have cohorts that we're going to do in 2023 too. So some of you, I hope, are considering joining. So we did invite people who expressed an interest. It's kind of like an information session. We'll do another one in the fall if you're not ready right now. And we have a few local partners. This one is called Workhouse. The CEO of Workhouse is in the lobby. His name is Ryan Spears. And we have a fantastic relationship with Workhouse. If anyone's looking for a co-working space, they have 5 or 6 locations in Toronto. We're in another one. That's Techstars. We're in another one on King Street and Simcoe. But we really recommend Workhouse. We have a great price. It's the best price in the entire city of Toronto. That's not zero. It's because we think you should pay something, but it's a very reasonable price. If you do graduate and you need a working space, come speak to us. We'd like to include you in our space. If you're still trying to build, you don't really need an office space yet, so just hang on to your money. And then we have Van Hack, Desmond's, and of course Collision, which is a big conference that we're involved with. Brampton. And I'm going to just turn it over to you, and then you can introduce a council member maybe with a couple of words, and then we can, after the council member speaks, Councilman Tour, we'll just continue with the program a little bit. I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Sunil. Jordan, can you pull the video? Just while Jordan is pulling that up, just want to say thank you, Sunil. We're very proud partners with Founder Institute. It's delivered a lot of value for Brampton companies. We also have Councillor Tour. Do you want to come with me?
After you.
Sure, no problem. We have one of our city councillors here, Councillor Tour, the youngest member of City Council, and we're very long and betting long on startup companies and tech companies in the city. We've got a thriving innovation and tech ecosystem that we've built in downtown Brampton, culmination of different incubators, accelerators, education institutions. We brought them all together in one space to kind of foster a collaboration and offer opportunities for startups. And our collaboration with Founder Institute has seen us bring in Brampton-based companies and startups and getting them to learn and sort of grow in the city. I think the video is up, so Jordan, if you want to play it.
We are building a world-class innovation district in the heart of our downtown, which will support entrepreneurs and startups at every stage of their journey. We are becoming a hub for incubators, tech companies, accelerator spaces, and cybersecurity. It will be an ecosystem where entrepreneurs can create companies and products, hire talent, raise capital, and scale their company, all without leaving our innovation district. It's a pretty exciting time in downtown Brampton.
Brampton, as you know, is perfectly situated between the Toronto-Waterloo corridor that creates access to a ton of different technology organizations and support structures, which is critical to cybersecurity resilience and building the workforce of the future.
One of the important things for tech-based companies is they need a lot of resources and a variety of resources to get to scale and to bring prosperity to our area. Brampton has a number of academic institutions that really are focused on supporting tech and supporting innovation.
University of Guelph Hunger has been interested in Brampton for quite some time. It's a vibrant, growing community. It has a population that's growing. It's attracting businesses. It's a globally recognized city. And it has a vision for innovation. And that aligns very well with the vision that we have for the University of Guelph Hunger.
Brampton is shaping up to be a global competitor, doing the right things to attract entrepreneurs and to build the underpinning of what an innovation district and an innovation economy needs, starting with universities and academic institutions, including co-working spaces and innovation partnerships, but also attracting talent.
Our strategic plan has us bringing 200 foreign-born entrepreneurs to Brampton. Can you imagine the number of jobs that it'll create, the number of exports it'll make happen, and finally, the amount of activity within the community, because each one of these is a consumer and provides fringe benefits to the economy.
Brampton is home to 75,000 businesses, 700,000 people. We have a diverse workforce that represents 234 different cultures, speaking 115 different languages. We have the lowest average age of 36 years in Canada for a big city, and we have an access to a highly skilled talent pool, and our innovation district is just steps away from the Brampton GO station, interconnecting the entire GTA and innovation corridor. When I think of innovation district, I think of potential. I really believe that the global economy is changing. The innovation district is an opportunity to create an environment where startups excel. When I think of the innovation district, I think about the future.
So thanks for that. All this to say, we're here and we're happy to talk to you. So if you have some ideas, or if you're looking for your next step after Founder Institute, come up and talk to me. I'd love to kind of chat with you and hear about your business and see how we can help you out in Brampton. And without further ado, I'll bring up Councillor Tour to share a few words.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not allowed to go anywhere without a piece of paper to tell me when to speak, so bear with me. Just want to say good evening and thank you, Sunil, for allowing us to be part of this program this evening. It's wonderful to see this. And while we were getting up the elevator and walking our way through the lobby, I also realized a lot of people here are newcomers to Canada. So this is not the best weather that you're experiencing right now. It does get better, but I would say just fight through it. And summer's around the corner, and you'll get to enjoy the beauty of this country even more. So my name is Gurpratap Singh Toor. I'm the regional councillor from the city of Brampton, Ward 9 and 10, and I'm also the chair for the city of Brampton's Economic Development Committee. It is a pleasure to be here today to congratulate the graduating cohort of the Founder Institute. To Sunil and the Founder Institute team, congratulations. You must be proud, like a parent, to see this talented group of people move on to the next level from here. For some of you, particularly, this is your first major business venture, and it may seem daunting. Making dreams happen can be a lonely task, particularly at the outset, not knowing where to turn, who to talk to, or where to get financing. The good news is that there are a lot of supporters available to you. I'll pause here just to go off the script for a second to let you know that I'm in politics, I'm in the political world, and we always believe one thing that helped me in my recent election as well, when I decided to run. Your first supporter is always going to be you. You are the person that's going to believe in you to make the things that you want to do happen. So apart from that, you do have one of your best supporters will be Northwest, just from here, Brampton. The Innovation District, the wonderful video that we just got to see, thanks to Ines, that got me really pumped as well. The Innovation District, I'll just explain it a little bit. It's a whole ecosystem that links talent, educators, investors, entrepreneurs, universities, international startups, and high growth firms in a variety of industries. It has a sharp focus on startup scaling, investment attraction, and talent development. The goal is to support entrepreneurs and new business owners, such as yourselves, through every stage of their journey, from education, training, and reskilling to support companies of all sizes and across all sectors. All this in the heart of downtown Brampton. Why is Brampton so conducive to innovation? Well, Brampton is the fastest growing big city in Canada, with our population, I would say, exceeding 700,000 people. We're a living mosaic represented by some 250 cultures, speaking 171 different languages. And our workforce is young, diverse, and well-educated. In fact, 50% of new immigrants in Brampton are under the age of 24. Why is this important to builders and investors? Having access to a pool of talent and a diverse workforce is a huge asset. It helps foster innovation, creativity, and empathy in ways that homogeneous environments seldom do. Research shows that there is a direct correlation between high-skilled immigration and an increase in the level of innovation and economic performance. So as you consider the future path of your business, I hope you will consider Brampton as a place to locate. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Ennis, who's here from the Economic Development Office, and in particular, the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. They are ready and able to help you with the tools and resources you need to be successful in your venture. In conclusion, I want to leave you with a message of hope. I encourage everyone out there to keep at it. Keep fighting to make your dream a reality. Tap into the knowledge and experience of others. Network, reach out, and lean on one another. You've made it this far, and you have what it takes to make it further. I look forward to hearing about your progress. I'm going to be here for the rest of the evening as well, and I believe there's somebody that's going to be pitching here as well. So I look forward to seeing that. On behalf of the City of Brampton and my council colleagues, I wish you all the best. And to again share another personal experience for a lot of people that are newcomers to Canada. I was a newcomer myself about 12 years ago from now. And it's been a long journey, but this is one place that I truly believe where as long as you invest in your dreams, they do come true and you can make it happen. So thank you so much and wishing you guys all the best.
Okay, perfect. And we have some alumni, beautiful pictures of Bramptonites that are on the screen here that we've graduated over time. We have a nice collaboration with Brampton. We offer fellowships and scholarships. So if there's any founders who come from the city of Brampton and they want to join Founder Institute, if they qualify, they take we run an aptitude test and we look at profiles, but if they do qualify, we're pretty prone to just issuing a fellowship so long as you live in Brampton. And many founders we've noticed, are moving to Brampton due to family and just cultural fit or just simply purchasing a home or whatever the reasons that life brings us. Brampton's a pretty cool place, and there's a great innovation district downtown. We do our own meetups and events there as well. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Jordan. Jordan lives in Guelph in the KW region. He came in for the event. I'm going to say that the colleagues that I have here, Ben's back there running all the tech, Shiven's right here, Rockwool might be downstairs, and then Jordan. We are volunteers. We do not work for Founder Institute. This is not our jobs. We have our own jobs in life, but we've been doing it for a very long time, launching these companies. So we're pretty happy with the role that we get to play in this stage of an entrepreneur's journey. So I'll turn it over to Jordan right now, who's going to take us through the pitch program. But before that, I think our speakers are going to actually go figure it out. Jordan. And there's some drinks in the back. There's more, and if anyone needs any water, there's a kitchen straight down. There's a water station in there. And when we're all done here, finally, we're gonna go across the street to a bar called Keep. And if anyone wants to stay, just network with each other, with us, we're gonna be there for a little while.
Huge round of applause for Sunil. Okay, we're gonna bring in the panel here. Can the panel hear us? Okay, then maybe one of you, can you just speak, we'll do a mic test here.
Testing.
Everyone can hear?
Yeah.
In the back, all right. Let's get ready to rumble! Big hand round of applause, let's go, come on. Okay, so you may recall seeing some of these people, maybe on LinkedIn, or maybe you met a couple of them. If not, top left, we have Alex Norman with N49P, big round of applause. Top right, we have Kayla Isabel, Executive Director at Startup Canada, big round of applause. Juanita Lee Garcia, Executive Director at the Upside Foundation of Canada, on the bottom left. And we may pick on Sunil to answer a couple questions as well. But first, we're going to go around. So maybe we'll start kind of with Alex, then we'll go with Kayla, and then Juanita. And just tell us kind of what your career looked like getting to where you are, what you do, and then kind of where you're going. And then we'll lead into some other questions.
Okay, I guess I'll start. That's quite a big, I don't want to give it too long of an answer, so quickly, my background is I've done professional services, so worked at Lehman Brothers doing tech M&A and McKinsey did consulting. I've been an operator, worked at startups in New York, San Francisco, London, and co-founded one in Toronto, software exits, and now I've built the ecosystem, basically launched Tech TO 10 years ago, brought AngelList to Canada 6 years ago, and now run a fund called N4NIP. My focus is on N4NIP and Tech TO. What I'm trying to do is grow the Canadian ecosystem, be a community with Tech TO, and my fund invests in pre-seed and seed Canadian companies. And my future is I hope to back a lot of huge venture scale companies, create a franchise in early stage where if you get an investment from N4NIP, it helps you accelerate your chance of success significantly.
Okay, and then Kayla.
Hey everyone, Kayla Isabel here for Startup Canada. Super excited to be engaging virtually. I wish I was there in person. That's really exciting. And I am currently CEO of Startup Canada. Started working in consulting across a number of different types of clients, private sector, government, all across Canada, mainly in the Northwest Territories, across Ontario and West a little bit as well. Then I moved to Tanzania for a little while and worked in the Tanzania tourism space for the Tanzania Tourism Board. And that's really where I got engaged into entrepreneurship. I was working with incredible Tanzanian founders, trying to bring in international customers and really leverage the incredible tourism potential of Tanzania, so like Serengeti, Arusha, Kilimanjaro, all those incredible places across Tanzania. And seeing that hustle, seeing that energy, and seeing these brilliant ideas come out of that ecosystem really charged me up to come back into Canada and work in this space. So as we traveled for the rest of 2019, which I was very grateful that I did in advance of 2020, and came home and met my predecessor, Victoria Lennox, who is the founder of Startup Canada. And then a week later, I was working with the team. So I took over March 1st, 2020 as executive director, now CEO, and navigated through the insane pivots that all of us were navigating through March 2020. And now scaled the organization. We now have staff across 5 different cities across Canada. We're connecting with over 135,000 founders each year across all of our digital programs. And it's some exciting new programs this year, potentially coming to Brampton actually in the fall with our national tour. Which could be very exciting. I would love to know some insights. In terms of future, I'm really focused, my team is really focused on navigating the efficiency of not just the startup community across Canada, but overall being an early stage founder. There have never been more support organizations, more funders, more mentorship programs, more nonprofits, charities, government funds. There's so much support that exists out there. a huge problem that we're experiencing with founders we support is not understanding where to access all of those different resources, at which juncture of their entrepreneurship journey are you actually connecting with these various groups, and measuring the utility, the helpfulness, potentially the redundancy of seeing many entities that are doing the same thing. So my passion and sort of the future of Startup Canada is really trying to solve that efficiency problem and make sure that we can provide access to the right support organization at the right time for every founder.
So Juanita?
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, we're not hearing you yet.
My mic is working?
Oh, yeah, you're good now. We hear it.
Okay, well, my mic is working, but not my headphones. So I'll just them up, so I can hear you. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Garcia. My pronouns are she, her. And I am a refugee migrant settler from Colombia. I arrived in Canada in 2007. My background is a little bit different than Alex and Caleb. I'm so privileged to be joining them today. I come from an academic background. I have a dual career in academia and the nonprofit sector. I went to school for visual arts. I started out as a practicing artist and have a master's in fine arts. And then I started teaching at the university level and realized I knew nothing about teaching, as most professors do. And so I moved to Toronto to start a master's in adult education and community development. And during that time, I needed a job to put myself into school. I had worked in retail for over 10 years at a management level and came across the Toronto bubbling startup sector. So I joined a startup that was 23 people, started in sales. I had managed for a long time, but never sold SaaS. So co-managed this team and saw them through their Series A and left a year into that to really go into the social innovation space. I had met somebody at the intersection of kind of bringing up the next generation of Canadian entrepreneurs. I was really interested in that adult education component and entrepreneurship skills development, and got funding from a private foundation in Canada called the McConnell Family Foundation to weave social innovation concepts, so equity, diversity, inclusion, redistribution of wealth, thinking around decolonization and applying the Truth and Reconciliation Call to Action into this space, and grew the marketing, revenue generation, and partnerships team of a charity called Venture for Canada. When I started, we were 5 people. I just left, and they're an incredible skills organization if you're looking for talent and paid interns. So they're a government wage subsidy delivery organization that enables students to work for early stage startups so that they can get that introduction to the space. And I took on the role of executive director at the Outside Foundation not long ago. So just 4 months into the role, so learning a lot, but it's been an incredibly privileged experience to get to connect with venture capitalists, small funds, angel investors, founders from across Canada, and like Caleb was saying, this really expansive Canadian tech network that we've built with government and provincial infrastructure as well as private capital. My vision for the future, so I was thinking about this, it's stuff, I mean, such a large vision, but I really am focused right now in the next kind of 5-year, really bridge the philanthropy sector and the Canadian startup sector. The Canadian entrepreneur has been the backbone of the Canadian economy, and that's looked really different in all of our different levels of our economic well-being. We are also the social safety net of a lot of Canadians. 25% of Canadians depend on the charitable sector for basic services. And so how do we bridge the learning between kids and tech and the charitable sector with this kind of new generation of Canadian entrepreneurs that are going to build the next $60 billion of philanthropic assets?
Okay, we'll lead into meat and potatoes of the meal. So what's the current state of startups right now? And maybe Alex, we'll start with you because a lot of startups are wondering that from an investor's perspective. Are people even investing? What's it look like right now? For example, we were in a Web3 crypto NFT company, not great. It's not a fantastic environment right now. So overall, and well, specifically the Canadian startups, ecosystem? Where is it? We'll start with you, Alex.
Okay, again, not an easy question to answer, so I think it's the best and worst of times. So I'll start with the worst because that's what the media likes playing out right now. I think you could have a company go public in Canada for $3 billion, create that, thousands of jobs, and somehow our Canadian media would have a way to get some find something wrong with it currently. Look, I was just looking at AgelList data just before this. We have data on 17,000 portfolio companies. And the velocity of deals and the percent of the deals that are positive or markups is at an all-time low, matching the 2 months after COVID. So if you look at the data, late stage is very difficult. Early stage is bifurcated. The average deal value or value company is the same as was last year. But what I'm seeing in the market is if you're a company that talks, so your generative AI, your climate tech, your repeat founder with an exit, you're going to raise valuations are crazy. Everyone else is struggling to raise. So the days of easy capital are gone, and they're probably gone for the foreseeable future. It will turn around, it'll get better, but it won't be back to 2021 anytime soon. It gets better slowly in increments and just goes bad quickly. The flip side, why do I think it's the best time? The hype's gone, right? Like, it was very easy to play the game of a founder the last few years. But what you want to do is you want to build a massive company that has an impact on this world and creates value for all stakeholders. So it's harder to get the capital for it, but everything else is easier now. People that are coming to join you will match with your mission. There's less competition for talent. There is an ability, there's going to be less competition, so you can create a moat by them scale up. So that's the overall ecosystem. I think Canada has its own structural challenges because as great as all the government programming and funding is out there, what you still need is we need people that show and have the vision of how to build something massive. And unfortunately, capital has dried up a bit more here than it has in other places, just because we don't have a history of producing huge returns. So what I'm seeing a lot in the ecosystem is risk off. That means it's even harder to raise money in Canada. You're going to have, the government entities or big enterprises maybe a bit more cautious about who they partner with. But if I was up to starting another company, I started one. I've been at 3 other startups before that. We've had various outcomes. This match is kind of one of the biggest impact we had. I think the ecosystem across this country are super strong because we've seen what scale looks like. We have ambition. We have teams here. When I started my last company in 2010, there was like 10 founders to speak to. They were all white male. They were basically me. And I think this ecosystem now is a lot more than people like me, and there's a lot more people who have seen it and do it and can scale business here. So I think it's an exciting time, and eventually money will be there.
Kayla, you're in Ottawa. You speak to a lot of politicians. Starting Canada as nonpartisan. What do you see from the Ottawa list?
Yeah, echoing everything that Alex just shared. I think there's an appetite. I think government is really understanding, and has always seen the value in small business, but the overall innovation agenda is it's not top of mind. There's so many different players at every single level of government. So I think federal, provincial, and you have great municipal representation, right in North tonight. There has been a lot of lip service and sort of general support of, yes, we need to, keep our talent in Canada and find these incredible innovations, kind of clusters to support and keep these businesses local, but scaling globally and exporting and leveraging the massive market that is outside of Canada, because we can't build incredible businesses that just live and breathe in our nation. But it's slow and it's frustrating to see a lot of these conversations, and we have this tension that we need to move faster, we need to be much more efficient. We need to get inspiration from entrepreneurs who are solving incredible problems way faster than government can even keep up in regulating those challenges. Thanks tech, thanks so many of these emerging spaces. But there's appetite, there's interest, there's different leaders that are really bringing this agenda forward. Minister Champagne is a great example of a great champion there federally. But it's a little bit on the slower side.
Juanita, with you?
Yeah, what we got as the overall sentiment for 2023 is that it's a really year of resilience. And that means it's a year to kind of slow down and really focus on individual founders' personal growth. And that includes investing in your own opportunities. And that's lowering up finding a really good lawyer, finding a really good accountant, finding really good like expert resources to then like be set up for that time that you're ready to start thinking about raising, start thinking about calling angel rounds, start thinking about, you know, doing your first few hires is like super early stage pre-seed organizations. It's also a really good time to start talking to people who have experienced leaders in big tech that are experiencing layoffs. There's some really excellent talent. And like Alex mentioned, it's not a huge fight for talent right now. And those are typically the cycles that we see in the kind of tech economy across Canada and the US, where it's this kind of layoff generation of tech leaders, second, third line kind of leaders who now go and support at like number 2 for a lot of founders. So really great talent out there and connecting with those right people and kind of investing in those resources. And kind of the third thing that I think hasn't really been mentioned is that big tech will course correct. So big tech right now is just continuing to right size, and we're going to see that because we don't really have big tech in Canada that's not US, right? So US big tech that's like headquartered in Canada is going to continue to right size, but it's going to be less than expected. You know, I'm talking to a lot of VCs, and they have a bit of a different opinion that like they're risk givers, but there is a little bit of power balance going back to founders. They need you as much as you need them, and I think that that is something that we're going to continue to see is like a shift in like big power dynamics between like capital funders and VC firms and individual founders. Is that it's also in your court, because if you're building a really great company, a really strong company, a company that has like operational excellence, a 1 to 3 year P&L and like really strong balance sheet, then you will have a lot of power in your court when you're ready to go to that next stage. And so it's really around like internal focus and internal building. But I think also, I think this goes to probably your next question, Jordan, but a little bit around peer groups and sharing. It's a really big opportunity to share what you're experiencing and really tapping each other into what you're hearing, so that everybody kind of is in the know, which I think is what is happening in leaders in our sector. Is like when I hear something, I'll kind of talk to somebody else and feel like this is what you're also hearing, and keeping the pulse on things. So it's a really great time to have open conversations, which we also often don't see when it's a really strong market, because people want to keep that information to themselves, or they have to because it's extremely confidential.
So in terms of 2023, I mean, we kind of answered a little bit, so maybe we'll zoom out a little bit higher. Over the last decade or 2 decades, really, kind of like the FANG playbook of startup was, you needed product market fit, so you needed to have a good product, you needed to have founder market fit, so you needed to have a good team. Needed to have money market fit, so you needed like a lot of money in the startup bank. But that garage to global playbook seems to be maybe changing. So, if we're predicting over the next decade, what does a startup of tomorrow look like? And this is for anybody to jump in.
I'll start. I don't think, again, if you want to go the venture route, I think the ambition to be a global company is not going to be different. I think the one thing that lots of Canadians still have a hard time grasping, what's a venture company? And this is one reason is correction on that, because people are making sure they're investing in venture potential outcomes. The company can get to 100 million revenue quickly, and I'm talking about 5-6 years, and still double or triple. So, I think 20 million revenue company is a great outcome, but that's not what venture scale is looking for. I think what's changing is what you see with generative AI. It is at an inflection point where it does feel like the next model. It feels like what the iPhone was or what the internet was in the period before that. And I'm seeing it grassroots being adopted. Grassroots, like I've seen in my portfolio, one company that was a 10 million run rate has gone to basically zero because of what generative AI is doing. I've seen another go from 0 to 42 million run rate in 3 months because it's being adopted so quickly. And I think the difference in the future, company in the future, and it's going to be a challenge for our stakeholders, is to be, I still believe in-person beats this remote, but there will be more distributed teams. And I think what I'm seeing right now is you're gonna be a team if a company gets $1 billion revenue with 100 or less employees on a consistent basis. So I think tech is gonna be even more well-defined by these great, hugely profitable companies. And it's gonna be a challenge for all other stakeholders in the ecosystem, because what I don't want Toronto or Vancouver to become like the Bay Area, where you have to be a founder to basically afford to live in those cities. And it's gonna be hard to get the tax bases because those companies are gonna be multi-jurisdictional. And so I think what tech is gonna continue to disrupt a bit of how we operate as an economy. But I do think there's much bigger opportunities than what they did 24 months ago.
Anyone else?
Alex, that was so well said. What you kind of just mentioned around like not wanting Toronto and Vancouver to become like SF is something that I think about every day because it impacts our work, right? We support charitable organizations, so Upside against equity, or for allocated equity from startups across Canada, and only when we see successful exits do we get to exercise that equity, turn that into cash, and then flip that back out to communities. And innovation hubs really shift the way that our communities work. And I think one thing that's also going to change, we're seeing things like increased cost of housing, increased cost of living in Canada already, like even the food inflation prices that were published yesterday. And I think the next 10 years do really have that kind of impact focus, impact conscious founder. And that's a big shift because it's impacting their own families and they're seeing how much, if we are investing in innovation, how do we balance investing in equity as well? And often innovation hubs just totally skew things like pay and wages and university hubs and import from other countries as well, like talent import and intellectual property import. And so that's also something that I think is interesting to think about. I think intellectual property is also something that's interesting to think about and how we manage that in the next 10 years and how founders kind of build that, specifically when it comes to like deep tech and AI, and the role that government will play in some of those like really kind of scalable SaaS ventures versus like your SaaS or non-venture backed startup. But I also think that there's really interesting opportunities of creativity and experimentation for smaller startups, that they'll be able to be really successful, and we're going to put our attention back into that 20 to 50 million ARR. And there's acquisition opportunities there that have been overlooked because that hasn't been the goal. And so there's going to be this golden market where you can scale to a certain level and get acquired, and there's going to be a lot of these businesses. But again, that's going to depend on how much you're able to do so with a distributed workforce, with Gen Z going into the workforce, and maybe the tech sector is no longer going to be 5% of our Canadian economy, but it might go down to 3%. So it might be less workers with maybe more secure jobs, doing more innovative things, working 40 work weeks. We'll see if that happens.
Sorry, I just want to jump in and get Kayla, I'll get you. One interesting opportunity is how the next tech wave can actually be net benefits for lots of the economy, but I don't think we're structurally ready for it. I'm seeing a lot of, because of COVID, everyone's looking at health tech. There was an ability to change regulations during COVID. And like right now, if you look at our health systems, it's broken or near broken. And a lot of it is lack of access and lack of affordable care. I'm starting to see a lot of companies working on that. But the biggest challenge for those companies is how do we structurally allow them to bend regulations where we don't put patients at risk, but enable them to basically challenge a bunch of people that are, have studied 10 years to become a doctor, but now their roles have changed, or a nurse. And so I think what's also interesting is and also deal with climate. A lot of the companies are going to come out that are focused on Gen Z, on making the world a better place, not ironically, not on the Silicon Valley startups, HBO show, but really want to make a difference. Their biggest challenge is going to be how do we work with regulators and government to drive an impact, and how do we think the societal impacts that? Like when people start, I don't want to talk to a chatbot for social care, what does that mean?
I don't really have a whole lot to add to that. That was a pretty fantastic answer, but I think even beyond tech, looking at small business and looking at the overall entrepreneurship community across Canada, aligning to sustainable development goals, looking at deep transformational change in the broken systems that we've seen in the last couple of years, whether that be gender equity, whether that be investing in more diverse funds, and you'll see so many new support organizations trying to tackle massive shifts. It's important to get investment from government, from other private sector entities, et cetera. So lots of movement has been always.
I can't hear.
Is that something that you've already considered as part of your business? From ESG perspective, or financially submit SDG, I recommend you have that type of lens. From a health perspective, people will be looking to align to those mission-driven organizations. From an investment standpoint, that could be, regular that's a while as well. And then from the.
Well, I think the Bluetooth. Yeah. Yeah, we get a technical, our Bluetooth, decided to take a washroom break. I think it was 8 o'clock and the Bluetooth's like, I'm out of here. Yeah, spirit of this little setting. Okay, one sec. Maybe we'll hand it over to, while we figure this out, maybe we'll hand it over to Sunil real quick. Sunil, same question. Where do you think startups are going to do in the next decade?
Oh, they're not gonna be in Canada. Like, you know what? Our population is 38 million people. There's a few people here that recently moved from Nigeria. If you Google Nigeria's population today, it's 215 million. It's going to be 550 million people by the end of this century. That is an astounding number, 550 million people. And the entrepreneur quotient there is just so high. So I actually think that to answer that question, which I just heard on the spot, is that the future of startups are going to be entirely distributed around the world on a roughly equivalent basis of population density. So countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, China, Indonesia, like massive population centers, like the entrepreneur quotient is just incredibly high. Canada's advantage is that we attract people here. So in fact, in this room, raise your hand if you are not an immigrant to Canada. So that's like, if you're not an immigrant.
I'm
Like, I'm not an immigrant.
I'm not an immigrant.
Okay. So maybe a fifth of the room is not an immigrant. So the GTA is the most immigrant dense city on planet Earth. 52% or 53% of the population is foreign born. So we're attracting people like my founders from Trips who've been here for a matter of 4 weeks. Gideon, who you guys may not have even met, also from Nigeria. Where's he from? Korape. He's been here for like 1 year, permanent resident, done. And before I think we're gonna do Q&As, but I saw someone walk in here. His name is Bemi. Bemi, okay. So Bemi, interesting, I actually would ask you to answer this question because the role that I do with Founder Institute here in Canada, he does it in Lagos. He lives here, but he does FI there, which I find like fascinating. I've never actually sat with a beer with you and talked about it, how you do it. Well, how would you answer the question? Here, take this mic.
Excellent. Yeah, I think the question was, what will the startup landscape look like over the next 10 years? We set up PayStar Venture simply because of that. We saw that there's a growth that is unprecedented in the emerging markets. We call them frontier markets, we call them developing markets, but it's unprecedented. For example, I think it's roughly around 85% of Nigeria's population are under the age of 25. And that kind of tells you the kind of entrepreneurial drive, the vision, and the energy that they have. Tech is booming there in a different way. Everyone is setting up something. They're attracting their friends, their cousins, their neighbors into their startups. They're raising funding. When we set it up, it was a different story. We had to educate the market. We had to talk about it a bit more in Canada and allow people to understand what we're saying. But now everyone gets it. So in terms of the future, we see a lot of cross-pollination of talent, of ideas to capital across the world, especially emerging markets and developing markets. So to answer that question, I think to see it as a cluster was 50 years ago. To see it as a bigger ecosystem is now. To see it distributed is 10 years from now.
Ready to move, flying in.
Okay, we're gonna try the audio again, so maybe, Kayla, maybe if you can, try talking here for a sec. Okay, hold on, we'll try it again, try it again. Speak again. Okay, hold on, we're doing one more thing. I think it literally was 8 o'clock, so I think that functionality turned on. This is kind of a metaphor for what startups is like. It's like basically jumping out of the building, you gotta build an airplane before you hit the ground. So it's kind of like that. Clear where there's one second.
Testing.
Oh yeah, we're good now. Yeah, we're good. We got it back. Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Big round of applause for Ben Stacy. One of the best pitch deck designers in all of Canada, maybe the world. You would probably represent Canada. Probably the world. Okay, so I think we got time maybe for.
How'd it go, Ben?
So Kayla, we kind of missed you. So maybe if you kind of wanted to finish your answer, or we could kind of segue into maybe one question, which is because you.
Yeah, go ahead and segue.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. So you're in Ottawa, you see it, if you've ever talked to like NSC, IRAP, or a lot of the government funding organizations, they'll even admit that their support for startups versus scale-ups is on a pendulum shifted, to be honest, like biased towards scale-ups and corporations, let's be honest. So from that perspective, do you see that changing and moving back and balancing out towards supporting the startup? And if so, how?
Not as much from some of the crowns that we work with. So, the BDCs, the Export Development Canada's, et cetera, they're actually looking much more mid-market now. And we are advocating for additional support and, scope and mandate and funding to still be allocated to early stage founders. It remains the number one challenge that, you go to BDC and if you're under a year, they're not going to be able to provide any funding. Likewise with Export Development Canada, you have an incredible business that you want to scale globally. You're going to have to be at a particular stage to leverage most of their support. I think there's a lot of advocacy going there. There's also, the entire small business segment that, is repaying SEBA loans and having lots of challenges as a follow-up to the pandemic and ripple effects that we're seeing in local ecosystems on the business side. But I would say, if anything, we're seeing more mid-market support from government.
Okay, we want to get you guys, if you haven't had dinner already, doing that. So maybe, is there a question from the floor? Does anyone want to ask one? Sneak one in there? Just something itching? Yes, Hard Rock Cafe, Niagara Falls. There it is.
My name is Patrick, and this would be a question that runs into a wall, but I like asking this question. So, what is a question you wish more people would ask you about startups?
So to repeat that, what is the question that you would like to get more from startups? Right? Go ahead.
I can take a stab at it first. A lot of what we talk about is, Alex started something related to media in this conversation. He said, what is the Canadian media covering and what is media around the world covering? And that's often the, opinions, what is happening, what different sectors' opinions are, what different people's opinions are, what different agendas are based on, policies that are about to be launched from government or strategies that corporations are going to launch or into deals that the public doesn't have visibility into. And one of the best ways that I've heard leaders in the sector answer questions truthfully is when they're asked around perception. And so asking about how people think about something so that you can more deeply understand their process and potentially all the unspoken instead of asking what they think. that's been like a big shifting lesson for me, like as I try to really get some tough conversations started is, I don't care if you think we host great events or if you think there's a role for us in the ecosystem or not. I care about how you think that ecosystem should operate. And that's going to give you a ton more information, especially when you're talking to individual investors or different founders that you want them to really think, like you want to understand how they're thinking, not what they're thinking.
Kayla or Alex?
I'll give you two. The first is the key to be successful as a founder is to take care of yourself. So that means to surround yourself by a good group of people that you can count on and are there for you. You have a good regime to keep you sane and healthy. I think lots of people think sacrificing everything and doing it solo is a way to build it. I think if you don't have that support network and you don't support yourself, you won't succeed. And I go, second of all, you never know the truth behind any story. I think, and this is also something people read what they read about the Valley, and you'd be shocked. So the biggest exits, founders made nothing, and those same founders made money by being an angel or something else. And I think this is not all, like, I think if you're doing this, you should be doing it because you want to have an impact and build something that means something. And I think if you want to be successful, the whole ecosystem has to be successful. And I think that's what the unknown story of the Valley or New York is a cross-pollination of support and ideas. It's the solo founder myth in every single which way is wrong. And so it's by, how to do it successful and how you participate with the ecosystem, sharing knowledge, investing in other companies, supporting other people, with expecting nothing in return is a way to build yourself and build a business, build an ecosystem.
These are great answers. And this is, I'm really thinking about this question. It's a fantastic question. I guess one challenge that I see with many founders, not even necessarily coming to Startup Canada, but engaging in the ecosystem overall, is asking for too much sort of advice or too many recommendations from people who haven't been where they are. So actually trying to find people, you don't know exactly what your path is going to be like. You don't know, how your business is going to materialize and evolve and shift. And naturally, you have to relinquish some of that control and meet the market and understand where your business is going to fit in the constant evolution that is our world. But going to people that, to Alex's point, might have a shiny disposition, or you might think that they have had a particular trajectory and leverage support, but aren't actually building a business that aligns with how you want to build your business. You can build whatever kind of business you want. You don't need to fit into a particular type of box. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. So trying to find value-aligned individuals that you can seek advice from, take that advice and make it your own. You don't necessarily have to take it as action items, and try not to be all things to all people, because everyone's going to give you a different set of advice, right? Everyone's going to have their own lived experience. You want to take all that input to help inform, but you don't need to take directions from people that are in a totally different space that you are, especially if that's intention to the type of business that you want to build.
I would just add, so the word crazy has kind of been canceled a little bit, and instead you're supposed to use wild. And so a lot of times you need to be wild to be a startup founder. Jason Calacanis was asked this question once. So he's got the Angel podcast and Suite of Startups, Launch Academy, but a great resource from the Valley and arguably one of the best investors in the Valley. And so he's self-claimed, but he said, why don't you do psychiatric tests on founders? Because there could be a correlation between like their stability and the likelihood of them to succeed. And his response was, well, they're all wild, they're all crazy. So why would we do that in the first place? And so you do have to be a little bit risk averse, and you got to be brave for sure. So before we wrap up here, maybe we'll get into a couple of pitches. Alex, Kayla, Juanita, this camera, this camera, this camera. What are you promoting? What are you working on? What do you need help with? We'll start with Alex.
Well, if you want to get involved in the ecosystem or know what's going on in the ecosystem, go to techtio.org/newsletter. Sign up. We have a 3 times a week newsletter that explains what's going on in the ecosystem and tells you about our events. It's a great way to meet other founders and not do it alone. And when you come time to raise your pre-seed, You can also reach out to me at allisonfrontip.com because I'm investing in 10 to 15 companies a year.
And Angelus as well.
Yeah, I'm still doing some stuff with Angelus, but Angelus as well. But the team's much bigger than it was before. So if you want directions on who you should speak to, you can also email me at allisonfrontip.com and I'll put you in touch with the right person.
Okay, then Kayla.
Awesome. Come on over to Startup Canada. All of our programs are annual and free. We help essentially bring together various partner organizations across the country, consolidate them into different initiatives, and give you access to their resources and support. So for women founders, we've got programs there. If you have a business that you want to export and get connected to groups like Export Development Canada, Trade Commissioner Service, private sector groups like Google and UPS, we can help on that side. We've also got a great pitch competition we'll be launching this spring. If you're interested in advocacy as well, shoot me an email. We have multiple numbers to connect with multiple levels of government to advocate on your behalf and to really share what challenges you're experiencing in this market. And then we're also going across Canada on tour this year. So we are going to be doing a 5-stop cross-Canada tour, connecting entrepreneurs with investors, with support organizations, with government, et cetera. And we'll be most likely in Brampton at the end of October, early November. So check out, we might be making that announcement next week.
Amazing. If you're interested in finding ways to enable yourself or your company that has been incorporated, you can connect with the Upside Foundation to join over 375 members across Canada, from big names that you can look up on our website to 60% of pre-seed and seed startup founders just like you. From the Founder Institute Network, we have Bably, Unwrap.it, Johnson, Find Bobby, Space iShare, who have all pledged 1% of their equity to Upside. So when they have successful exits, we can share that back with community. And by the time that you get there, the Upside Pledge enables you to build things like social corporate responsibility, employee engagement through giving, strategies that are informed around volunteerism, in addition to getting a little bit of a gateway into ESG formation and philanthropy if you're an individual founder really looking to scale and build something that has impact for all.
Okay, huge round of applause. Thanks for showing up, the three of you. And you can feel free to sign off.
Maybe
or-
Twitter. Like if everyone just takes a picture of the screen,
Yes.
tweets at them. What's your Twitter, everybody?
Yeah, what are the handles? What are your LinkedIn handles? We can find you.
We know
but,
Startup Can at Upside right? Upside Foundation.
At Upside.
At Upside. Okay, and at TechTO, right, Alex?
Yeah, or at Alexander Norman, either works.
Okay, yeah, if you could, and because it helps with our recruitment too. We're trying to get the word out that we want to find founders and volunteers, as I mentioned. So, quick shot of them and a tweet. Sorry.
At Share the Upside.
At Share the Upside. At Share the Upside. This was a great panel, honestly, amazing. Thank you so much.
So we're going to squeeze in 2 pitches. So we're going to do reload and then loop parking. Then we're going to do a group shot with some of the founders. Then we're all going to the bar after this. I've never had alcohol before in my life, so I'm pretty excited. Pretty excited. So we'll do that. Okay. So first up, we're going to welcome Reload. So Reload, you can make your way up to the top. And FYI, no one can see you anymore, so we're going to turn your cameras off.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for making it here. I'm Shigesh Patel, CEO and co-founder of Reload. Let's keep it fun. A lot of heavy talks have happened, so let's keep it fun. Thank you for rolling. So we have a simple motto at Reload: browse less, watch more. We want to save people time. With the increase of streaming platforms and the content that they push on a daily basis, there's so much content out there. Everybody's been there. We spend 45 minutes, half an hour just browsing what to watch across streaming platforms. Then we end up watching something crappy maybe. That's a story for almost 60% of us. Therefore, Reload. What we've done is we've aggregated content from all streaming platforms into our application, and we personalize recommendations to you based on the engagement level you have in the app, what your friends are watching, what you like, dislike, what you review, comment, all of that jazz. We've also introduced a pretty cool feature of Reels, where you can actually relay certain movies or discover movies or TV shows with snippets of them, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, consume them, love them, and then that way you can build your watch list. And it's very and we're banking on the social media aspect of this application, because every time you go to a party or whenever you meet people, you always talk about what you recently watched, and then that actually has more emphasis than when Netflix tells you, hey, continue watching this because you watched, etc. Recently, we've actually joined Apple as an official affiliate with them and onboard about 5 influencers into the application. So they're hoping to see an influx of users in the application in the next couple of weeks. This market is huge, and we want to be one of the big fishes in this market. Streaming platforms are expecting to have about 2 billion subscriptions by 2025. So if this is not the right time, I don't know what is. So people are consuming content on a regular basis, watching movies, TV shows. We feel this would be the best time to jump into this market. Our business model is pretty straightforward for consumers. We already are paying very heavy subscription fees. We want to keep it free for all consumers. There's no need to add on more subscription. However, we're banking on our B2B market, where we are affiliated with Apple right now and speaking with Disney Plus and Hulu, where we would have a pay-per-redirectory model. Also, we are in talks with independent filmmakers and production homes to sponsor their content in the application to give them more eyeballs and visual of a vertical and defined set of users which are to consume media, as well as we are standing an API and platform to help businesses make better, smarter, and insightful decisions. We're hoping to have about 250,000 users by the end of this year. For that, we're seeking funding and kind of pumping money, a lot of money into marketing, and actually onboarding a lot of influencers. Myself and the co-founder, the CTO, and we also onboarded an advisor, Mike, who has 2 successful startup exits and is an general partner at a VC firm. And I hope to see you all in Reload. Thank you.
Next is Luke Park.
Hi guys, it's nice weather, right? So we are Loop Parking, so we want to make you more money and save money on parking by just swiping left or right. Hi, I'm Stephen Matthew from Loop. Loop is an Airbnb of parking, or you could say a Tinder for parking. But our matchmaking skills just ends with parking. Finding an empty parking spot in bigger cities is getting harder and more expensive. And this leads to more parking violations. In fact, last year alone, Toronto City have issued nearly $100 million in revenue from parking violation tickets. And nearly 40% of parking in residential is underutilized. So we are trying to solve these parking issues. And like other parking apps, users can search and reserve parking spot. But that's where our similarities ends. So in Loop, where once a user is reserved a parking spot, then they will get an option to either rent out or exchange their residential parking spot to get an extra income. So what is SpotSwap? SpotSwap is a new parking concept where we developed where users can exchange their residential parking spot to get free parking anywhere in the city. Even better, with our instant rent, which unlocks new areas and untapped market in the parking industry, and which helps users to instantly rent out their driveway when they are away from home or they park elsewhere. So we have launched our beta version. It's both are available in Play Store and App Store. As of now, it is limited to user testing, but we are set to launch on end of March. So why not? So major cities like Toronto is removing minimum parking requirements in new construction. So that is actually impacting the parking demand. So, and also the economic downturn and possible recession is also cautioning people to save more money wherever they possible. So we do have two business models. So our monthly subscription for $9.99, users will get unlimited swapping, and they can park over the month. And with parking reservation, we'll take 25% of commission for every booking. So parking industry in North America is pretty big, and it is estimated to $8.5 billion. So we are currently focusing on major Canadian market and plan to expand to US in 2 years. So like I mentioned, parking is a pretty competitive industry, but with our instant rent and sports app, we will have a clear advantage. And with these features, not only users will get to find parking spot much easily, but also they can able to save more money on parking. So that's where we are trying to build our platform. So this is our team. So we have got 26 years of experience, combined experience, and our CTO Rasmin have got 11 years of experience in AI and machine learning. So our ask is $250,000 and an advisor to aggressively market and reach US market as well. Since I mentioned it's a pretty competitive industry, we need to do a lot of marketing. So that's us. Join us in our journey and try to make parking more affordable and easier for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna do a quick photo here with the founders from the cohort. So if you were in the cohort, your founder, come on up and we'll do a quick photo. Everybody, come on, oh, there we go, nice. All right, then we need, we got some cameras here, I think. Ben, you got a camera? Shivin, you got a camera? Okay, so, we get everyone closing in here. So a lot of them, this is the first time they've met in person, just FYI. Okay, so we get everyone real tight, and if it feels awkward, you usually go straight on camera. So maybe step forward a bit. Step forward, we'll get away from the screen. You come. Another like 5 feet right here. That's probably good. Still kind of giving it. Okay, so then you guys will come this way, squeeze in. Maybe we'll get you in the back over here. Good. And, shut this up. Yeah. Okay. So everyone look at the biggest camera right there. You guys see the big camera? Yeah. All right, hold on. Okay. Look in there. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Take a couple. Boom. Okay, we got it. Okay. Okay, maybe we'll get Sunil, you want to say parting words. So we're going to be going to moderate.
We gotta go. Did you talk to these guys?
Just getting confirmation. I'm pretty sure we're going to Key after this. So it's literally just down the lobby. You have to see it. Okay. Key, we're going to Key.
Yeah, Key. Yeah.
So Key's kind of just in the lobby. It's in the building.
No, it's across the street.
Right across the street.
Right outside.
Right across the street. And we want to thank you for all our sponsors. We thank all
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
But we want to thank you because this is one of the fastest growing tech ecosystems on the planet, and it can't happen without people like you. So big round of applause for you guys. Okay, why don't we get everybody up and we'll do one huge photo. So everyone come on up, we'll get somebody wiggle us out, and then that way we're kind of like already moving, getting ready to go to Key and have some drinks and then I heard some people are gonna be partying till 2 a.m. I heard karaoke in Chinatown. Everybody, yeah, let's do this. You don't have to. Highly encouraged.
Oh my God, look at you guys.
Alice, you gotta get the photo, man.
Rahul's got it.
John. How long is it?
Oh, yeah. You can lay down right in front of them. Sunil, you get it.
I'm in such a good company right now.
Yeah. Okay, so looking at the big camera there.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Okay,
one more. Yeah.
He's known all around.
Okay, that's going on national television.
All good?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Still making noise.
I want a fun picture, guys. Do something fun.
Okay, so we'll do Brampton on 3. 1, 2, 3. Brampton!
Hey, at least you guys have a mayor.
Okay. Merci beaucoup, au revoir.
That's the odds on that. That's the odds on that one. All right? Sorry. You guys can go. Gonna go down. Something I was I just want to open this. I just want to make sure this
You see some flaws, you see some problems.
That's what I was saying. One of them. No, Western.
Yes, that's our story. No, no, this one. I don't know, I'm sorry. Yeah, but thanks for asking. Thank you for being my contact. Like that. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. Are you guys going big again? Or
Yeah. Our strategy was last year was make a splash. This year take a mature. We don't need to make a splash again. We throughout our startups out here, try start some really accelerators. We're trying to get on stage, talk. We're talking bring some of the folks that really right, what are you up to, right?
So I was with Ted.
Yes.
And then, like, one day in November, we kind of knew that, like, we were running on fumes.
FTX?
But then, like, well, things were getting tough leading up to it. There was like one Friday, one day in November. Sounded like late October, early November. Basically, like the co-founders just because like we hit a run rate. They'd spent pretty heavily building product and like they'd go up $100,000 like that with anticipation of us fundraising. Then crypto was tough also. And then like FTX after that, I was kind of hoping that it was like we were in a winter and we were starting to like go out a little bit. And then FTX happened and it was like we get sensitive to it. So like crypto, NFT, Web3, that's all AI. No, seriously, yeah, literally. So it's kind of like it kind of feels a little bit like we talked about. It's like let's go crazy. People are making huge money. And
Crypto comes back, right? It goes through that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to take us a little bit. So then I had to figure out like, it's like everyone's getting laid off. It's a hard time to get a job. So I've been working with like some startups and almost like then I kind of like, I don't know if we're on there.
Megraktam, miért raksz? Eldugod? Hiszen kész. We'll go with it. We'll all go. Igen.